And you set a tone very early on that you were prepared for this. You might be slightly undersized. You may not have the measurables, but you were ready for this moment. So just kind of talk about those early, maybe a couple of months or a couple of years in Pittsburgh as you were developing as an NFL player and kind of solidifying yourself as somebody the team could count on.
Yeah, I think a lot of that came from what I was taught in college, and I mentioned the people that were around me, but you have people like June Jones that spoke into me. He said I was going to play in the National Football League for a long time. That is raining to be true. You had Dennis McKnight, who was my offensive line coach when I first. Ronnie Van Clark, who was my first offensive line coach when I got to SMU. Who talked about the process, and I still stay in touch with Coach V. Dennis McKnight, who talked about, you got to be like a dog on a bone, just gnawing at a bone. That gave me a different mentality that I think boded well for when I got to the league. But I think the most impactful was Adrian Clem, who said, these are not your friends. And when I went to Pittsburgh, man, I found the biggest bully on the block, quote unquote. And we fought. And at that time, it was Cam Heyward. He was a young and upcoming, first round pick from the year prior. First or second round pick from the year prior. And I was just trying to make the team, man. In one-on-ones, I would jump up and I go against the best. And I went at it. And sometimes I won and sometimes I lost. I remember one-on-ones, my rookie year, Mike T had me go like 9 times in a row. Like one-on-ones 9 times in a row is not for the faint at heart. I did it and fought every single play because that's what I felt was needed to show that I belonged. And I never was the biggest. I'm still not the biggest, not even close I'm probably still one of the smallest offensive linemen in the National Football League, starting at tackle. And I just realized that was something that I had to prove and still have to prove on a daily basis. And then I think technically I was better technically than some folks that were much stronger, much more experienced than I was. And I think that technique, as I continued to get older, served me well, and how I was able to manipulate force and pressure, how I was able to stay in front of people, how I was able to move people. And I think it helped from the experiences that I had in college, the mental experiences that I had in college, the mental gymnastics that I had in college, and the mental processes that I learned in college that helped bode well for me in the National Football League. And I have to say, I don't think that many colleges get this experience, especially, it's 20 years, 09 to 12, where you have pretty much the entire coaching staff that either played in the league or was very closely aligned with people that were in the league, you look at that time period for SMU from, 07, 08 till the time June left. It was a lot of pro guys that came out of that particular program. Some guys played a good 3 or 4 years and had a really good career. So it's one of those things that I think we had the fortunate experience to be able to be coached by people who knew what it took to not only get there, but stay there. And Coach Clem always would say this, Adrian would always say this, man, anybody can get to the National Football League, but can you stay there? And I think that was something that has stuck with me the entire time is even now, I can get to training camp, but can I stay in training camp? Can I perform? Can I perform under pressure? Can I perform when my body isn't feeling right? Can I perform at this age? And that's now the next battle, mental battle is like, all right, well, they're trying to get you out of here. You're over 30. So it's like, well, what are you going to do to make sure that your body is in the best possible shape to make sure that you're successful week in and week out?
Yeah. And I can remember that time, when you were a young player at SMU and just, you were right. We were surrounded by a lot of great coaches that had been there before and were kind of elevating that program up. I can remember, Coach Clem and I were close at that time, and we would spend a lot of our off season together, watching film, going to breakfast, talking about football, coming back, doing workouts, watching film. And you were always somebody that was there with us. And I can remember one day in particular, we knew that you love to watch film and kind of be around. And we were like, Kelvin, what are you doing? Like, it's summertime. Like, go hang out with your friends, go like see girls, go go on a trip. And you were very, very focused at that time, the most focused college player I've ever been around in my 12 plus years coaching at the college and NFL level. And so I think a lot of people, it's easy to say, well, he's been in the league for a long time. He knows how to get to training camp. He knows how to get through training camp. And I keep mentioning undersized, not as a detriment to you or your skill or your ability, but more out of respect and the tremendous admiration I have for you in the career that you've had. And you've always had that mentality of always continuing to get better, always continuing to challenge yourself. And I think that that's really cool that you were able to be at SMU during that time to kind of develop as a young man and obviously as a young player that would go on to play in the league.